We're about to start Code Beats Session 2 for today. Welcome back.
I talk to the computers, David is my shepherd. I could be a lamb, but I'd rather be a leopard. See us on the go, like we playing CSGO, even playing field. This could be a battlefield. Halo with the vision, Call of Duty if we win it on a Fortnite. Forza motor needed coding, AI with aggressive loading. GLaDOS like we Portals too, Gordon Freeman keep away. The pixel up on 2K in a resolution 4K going 60 frames a minute. Falling out with Minutemen, oblivion. When they see the league I'm in, I'm crafting up a Warcraft. Had to make a warpath like zombies in a mine shaft. I'll never get that time back. Had to get it out the stopwatch. I'm running up like Usain, rattling in my brain. They told me that I'm not sane. I told them check the membrane, and then I had a good game. I'm winning up like Luke Kane.
All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. Session 2, we're getting right down to business with Finish That Line, get into Minty. If you're not already into Minty, I want you to get into Minty right now because we are about to do Finish That Line. Once you get in, you can, of course, hit that heart button so I know you're there. But we're going to go ahead and get started. We ain't messing around in the second hour. We are getting down to business. Here we go. Finish that line. Check it out. She said, "What you know about love?" How did that line finish? "Nothing about your love. It's just you and me. You don't know my love. I got what you need. Oh." She said, "What you know about love?" How does that line finish? "Nothing about your love. It's just you and me. You don't know my love." Or "I got what you need. Oh." I'll give you another couple seconds to get in there. And here we go. All right, let's see what the answer is. It is "I got what you need." Oh, here it is in context. Let's check it out.
Curly, I like she said, "What you know about love? I tell you everything. I got what you need. Woke up in the store and get what you want. You get what you please. We bout to get it on. Take off them drawers. It's just you and me. You know what I be on. I'm about to go wrong. Cause I like what I see. Look, baby, I said I ain't gon' front. You got my heart being so.
All right, that was Pop Smoke, "What You Know About Love." Pretty cool beat in the background there. Let's keep it moving. Now, as I mentioned, as you kind of finalize your beats, today is the day that you really should pay attention to Taylor because you want, again, this class has a lot of good coders. I'm not worried about y'all too much on the code side of things, but I want to make sure that y'all know how to make it sound like a good hip-hop beat. We talked about the drums last time, bass on 1, snare on 2. Let's go a little further today. Here we go, Decoding the Beat with Taylor. Pay attention. Here we go.
Hi y'all, this is Taylor Barnett from VC Music, here with your music lesson. Today I'm going to show you a couple of guidelines or tips for writing melodies that sound good and are easy to remember. So your first tip is make sure your melody has a shape or a contour to it. Melodies that stick in our mind and are conducive to singing tend to have a clear shape to them. If you visualize how your melody will look on the pitch time graph the TunePad uses, the line that's formed when the notes are connected should create a shape that has a clear high point and or low point. Let's look at two examples to illustrate. This first example is one of the most common melodic shapes, which rises to a short high point and then falls back down. This mountain shape can have its high point early on, in the middle, or near the end. The second example, in contrast, doesn't have any identifiable high or low point and instead just kind of hovers around the same few notes. This would not typically be considered a strong melody, and it would be harder to remember for its melodic content alone. A melody like this would depend on some interesting or catchy lyrics and a good rhythm in order to be effective. My second tip for melody writing is how to use or not use leaps. So, a singable melody will use mostly stepwise motion, which is when successive notes use adjacent musical letters in the scale, and will follow any big leaps, which is when you skip over more than 2 notes, with stepwise motion in the opposite direction. The third tip is to have the melody end on the first note of the scale or key, which is also called the tonic note. Today we'll be looking at Lottery Renegade by K-Camp, which is in the key of B minor. That means that the note B is going to be the home bass note, and our melody will be most satisfying if it ends on that note. Listen to the recording and notice how the note B is the most common note in the bass.
Go, 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 yeah, go, let's go, 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 sound, go, let's go, let's go.
Note, my melody doesn't need to begin on B, though it certainly could. Related to this is my one rhythmic tip. Use a longer note value on the last note of your melody if you want to give it a sense of closure. You can use any rhythm values you want earlier in your melody, but if your last note is a little longer than the preceding notes, you can make it feel more complete when you arrive at the end of it. It's a little bit like putting a period at the end of a sentence rather than having multiple sentences run on and on with no clear delineations. So here's the melody I came up with for Renegade. You can see that there's a big leap right at the beginning from the B up to the F sharp. I follow it with stepwise motion in the opposite direction, creating a kind of wavy line on its way back down, eventually to the note B, which is a little bit longer rhythmically than the notes that precede it. Let's listen. So, in summary, give your melody an interesting contour. Maybe even sketch the contour first and then try choosing some notes that would fit in that shape. 2. Use mostly stepwise motion, with leaps followed by stepwise motion in the opposite direction. And 3rd, end your melody on the tonic note. Now this tonic could be at the top as one of the highest notes or near the bottom as one of the lowest notes of your melody. And when you do that, making it slightly longer than the notes that come before it will help it feel complete. And one last bit of advice. These are just guidelines or descriptions of how music is often made, but they're not really rules per se, so feel free to try something else and listen to how it sounds. If you like it, go for it. If you hear something in there that you don't like as much, try and isolate what it is and what parameter you want to change. Have fun. See you next time.
Wait.
All right, there you go, Taylor, on how to make your beats sound awesome. So just to go over the guidelines that I want y'all to think about, if you're going to put a melody into your song, you want to give your song some shape or contour, mainly stepwise notes. Now, what do I mean by that? I just mean like la, 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 just going up a little bit and going down a little bit, no kind of big jumps. However, you might want to have like one jump in there to make it interesting. Like he referenced Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow. Okay, you see how there's only one big jump in there, but that makes it a really interesting and very recognizable song. Okay? It's a good idea to end the melody on the first note of the scale, the root. Okay? The root. So you want to have maybe like one jump, but you don't want to have a bunch of jumps or it's going to sound super random. Okay, now I told you today is a double dose of Doug, and I'm going to deliver. Today, we have Coding with Doug ×2. Here is the second dose of Coding with Doug. I know and I hope y'all will enjoy. Here we go.
Hello everyone, welcome to Coding with Doug and Go the Beats. Today is the last day of our camp and you made it. So we are going to review some concepts about computer programming. So we saw that a computer program respects a order and a sequence of commands. We saw how to use a variable or a constant that is a way that we can give name for a value. We saw how to use the command, or better, the function playNote that receive parameters as parameters bits, as parameter velocity, and also as parameter sustain. We saw also how to use lists, so a way that we can save multiple values in a list, in a constant or a variable. Also, we saw how to use a numerical repetition with command for, and also a repetition with lists, where we are accessing each element from a list at each time. Additionally, we saw how to use nested lists, that we are using multiple lists at the same time, and also we can use repetition with nested lists. We saw also how to use modularization in computer programming, that is the way that we can split the code in multiple parts, and it's better to maintain and keep your code running. And today I'm going to play a bit here, and with this bit here we can see the concept of parallelization, where we can have multiple models executing at the same time. So let's check this bit. So we can see here that we are playing the track melody, chords, bass line, hi-hat, kick, and snare all at the same time. So this is the concept of parallelization, where we can run multiple parts of a program at the same time. So that's it. I hope you have enjoyed so far the code bits, and maybe see you in the next time. Thank you. Obrigado.
All right, obrigado. He's breaking out a little Portuguese for you there. So we wanted to go over today kind of what we learned, because it's important that you remember what we learned in order to make sure you have everything you need for your final track. Okay, so let's talk about what we learned. Obrigado equals thank you, by the way. We learned sequencing. That is putting the commands in the right order, and just the fact that the order that you put the commands, that's the order that the computer is going to play the notes. We learned how to make variables and constants. We use constants to define the notes we want to play, so we don't have to type the number 41 over and again and again. We can just use like B or C. And we use variables often in loops. We used commands and functions like playNote, for instance, and we used playNote with a bunch of different types of parameters. So you can make it sustain, you can make it louder with velocity, you can have different amount of beats for it. So there's lots of ways you can change those commands. And finally, of course, we used list and nested list. Those are kind of more complicated data structures. But we learned how to use those and how to even use those to loop through, to go on a loop. We also learned repetitions or loops. That's a super important concept, and you got to use that in your beat. Of course, you got to have some loops. We learned how to loop through a list. So if you define all the notes that you want to play in a list, then you can loop through those using for every note in notes or something like that. We definitely emphasize how to modularize our track, meaning put one code block or one instrument in each code block. Don't try and put more than one thing in each code block, or else that gets really confusing. Oops, and sorry about that. We're not ready for that. Parallelization. We learned how all of these tracks execute at the same time. Now, we want to mention, for those of you that have not filled this out, this is very important. We will give you big obrigados to if you fill out this survey. This is the survey that kind of like summarizes your whole experience at the code camp. So please, 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 if you haven't filled this out, take the time to fill this out. This is like our big kind of end of class survey, so we know exactly what you think about it. So we really appreciate it. Doug especially really appreciates if you fill this out. I know we talked about this earlier today, but I wanted to just give you the link again, just in case you didn't have a chance to do it. I know some of y'all were waiting for later. Make sure you take that link, open it in another tab, and do it now or do it after the class. All right. Now, we talked earlier today about commenting your code. I want to just go over that again. How would I comment a single line of code? What would I use to comment a single line of code? Who can tell me in the chat? How do I comment a single line of code? Tell me in the chat. How can I comment a single line of code? What do y'all think? Hashtag. There you go. Hashtag. Exactly. Anything you put after the hash will not be interpreted by the compiler, or it won't be ran by the computer. So anything after a hash, if you want to do it for multiple lines, of course, you can use the triple quote. Great. Let's look at the worked example real quick. That means I do the work. Y'all just sit back and relax. I've been working hard today, along with Doug. He's been recording all y'all's beats for tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right. Here is what we're going to do. I'm going to hit the remix button, of course. And let's hear what this sounds like. Sounds pretty good. All right, so let's see what we got to do. We got to go down here, track 1, add a comment for a pair of measures. So every pair of 2 measures, we're going to add a comment. For instance, we're going to do hash measure 1, and that's 3, plus 3, that's 6, 7, 8. So at the end of this, I'm going to put measure 3, and then that goes all the way to the end. All right, so you see what I did there? Very similar to what we did last time. I know y'all are making it happen. So here, we'll do it again. What are the notes that are being played in the 3rd and 4th measure? Ooh, this one's a question. What are the notes that are being played in the 3rd and 4th measure? All right, so here is measure 1. Well, actually, I'm going to add the comments just to help me answer. M1, and that is all the way to M3. And so the 3rd and 4th measure is D major, C7, C alt. Okay, that's what is being played. So I would put those right here. D flat major 7, C7, and C alt. And finally, I would go down here and say read the code and add a comment where a pair of measures start. Okay, so again, measure 1, 2 plus 1 plus 2 is 5 plus 2 is 7 plus 1 more is 8. So I would add that right here, and that would be measure 3. All right, we did that kind of fast, but that's because I know that y'all are a sharp group. Now, but let's test it. Let's see if you're really a sharp group. Here we go with your turn. Here is the beat. Let's hear what it sounds like. Really nice beat. All right, that's your beat, and you're going to be doing these things right there in making some comments. I will give y'all 5 minutes to make your comments. Here you go. 5 minutes. Go, 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 go. Got about 4 minutes left. For those of you just joining us, check out that in-class activity. It is on commenting code. Minutes left. Minutes left. One minute left. All right. Come on back, y'all. Come on back. Let's go over this real quick. I'm going to just go over part of it probably because I think y'all have got this down. How many measures are there in this track? Check it. There are 4 times chords, which is 4. So that's 16 times 0.5. So 16 times 0.5 is 8 beats, which is 2 measures. So the answer is 2. Boom. All right. Second track. How many beats are in this track? Again, we're going to be doing some math. We're going to add, for each T in tempo, which is like 7575, which is, add those two together, that's 1.5 plus 0.5 is 2 plus 3, 4. So there are 4 beats total in this. Whew. Some of this is like tricky math. And then finally, read the code and add a comment where a measure starts and where a measure ends. Okay, so 0.75, 0.75, that's 1.5 plus 1, that's 2.5, plus that is 3.25, 3.75, 4. Okay, so basically the measure starts right here. Measure starts, M1 starts, and it ends right here. M1 ends. All right, and that's all we were supposed to mess with. So that's how you do that one. I know that y'all have got this down because I have, some good faith in y'all. Now, what'd you think about that activity, though? Was that one too hard or too easy, or what'd you think? Let us know right there in Minty. I'll get you the link too, so you can go ahead and let us know what you feel. Tell me how you're feeling on this Thursday afternoon. Math is tough. Doug's trying to stretch me out on this Thursday afternoon. So let us know what you think. I'll let just a couple more people get in. Let's try and get up to at least 10 people telling us what you think about that activity. So we can go ahead and wrap this up. All right. Now, let's see what's next. How much did y'all like the music that we used today? Was it fantastic, mediocre, or awful? What'd you think in terms of the music? I want to know, what'd you think about the music? Some people, I think, really liked the music today. I can tell. Somebody's jam was in the music for today. And again, let's try and get us up to 10 votes if y'all can. Lukey really liked the music today. Who else really liked it? One more really liked it for sure. And there we go. Thank y'all so much for getting in your opinion on that. As I mentioned, that really helps us kind of figure out which songs are cool and which ones aren't. And let's go over who won our quizzes past week. This is going to be interesting. Is it Monday it was Lukey. Tuesday it was Lukey. Wednesday, Jane the Goat. Thursday, Lukey. And today, let's see who it is. Quiz time. Make sure you use the same names as always, and let's get in there and go. All right, this is your last chance to give Lukey a run for his money. Good luck, people. Here we go. Where can I save values in my program? Where can I save values in my program? In a repetition? In a function? In a note? Or in a variable? Where can I save values in my program? Ooh. In a variable, guys. In a variable, you save things in a variable. Lukey knows, Jane knows, Max knows, and Audrey knows. All right. Question 2 of 5. What should a melody have? What should a melody have? Should it have volume or intensity, shape and contour, variable or constant, or a note or a chord? What should a melody have? Remember, think about what Taylor was telling us in terms of what you should do to a melody. Shape and contour. That's right, shape and contour. Melody should have shape and contour. Uh-oh. Lukey's opened the door for somebody else. Jane is taking the lead. Jane is taking the lead. All right. Next up, question 3 of 5. What can I use to change a function behavior when I call it? How can I change the way a function behaves when I call it? Do I use a repetition, commands, parameters, or a order? What do y'all think? Parameters. That's right. Parameters are what you use to change the way a function behaves. Parameters. There we go. Lukey got his groove back. And we got a tight race. Lukey, Bob, Jane, Tess, and Audrey all there tight together. What are we on? Question 4 or 5. Only 2 more questions left. When is the deadline to submit your beat for the contest? When is that deadline? Is it today at noon? Is it tomorrow at noon? Is it Friday, July the 30th? Is it Wednesday, July 28th? Well, I don't know about this one, Doug. Oh man, nobody gets points for that. Sorry about that, guys. We screwed that one up. It is tomorrow at 11 a.m. I was wondering about that. That's our bad, but nobody got a point, so it's okay. All right, it all comes down to this. The last question. Question 5 of 5. Whoops. Complete the following sentence. I ... code beats. I ... code beats. Love, like, will miss, wanna more. Complete the following sentence. I ... code beats. Love, like, will miss, wanna more. What do you think? Love, all right. All of these answers are correct. Wanna more is my favorite, of course. Glad y'all have enjoyed it. Sorry about that last answer that we tricked you on. Let's see who is our winner. It is gonna be really close, but I believe, to nobody's surprise, Lukey is our winner again. Way to go, Lukey. The quiz master, followed by Bob. Great work, Bob. Great work, Jane. Excellent work, Jane, for being up there a lot of times, very near the top. Audrey, great work. Tess, Pancake 100, great. Shreyas, the Flying Pig, Max, King Cyrus, and Tori. All of y'all did a good job today. All right. We are going to go ahead and move on a little bit. Now, there is no help session today. As we have said, there's no help session, but there is a focus group. And the focus group, again, y'all getting a chance to give us feedback on how to make this even better next time it happens. There's a link right here, and you can join Zoom today. It's a great way to kind of continue to help make this even better, so that next year it's going to make people's heads explode. It's so good, your head's just going to explode. Okay. All right, so feel free to join that at 5. Anybody, even if you weren't invited, you are welcome to join that at 5. Now, we're not going to take questions in that format today. If you have questions, you can email us or you can put them in the chat. That's it for today. We just had a quick one for this afternoon. I hope you all have a great evening and make those beats and get them in by tomorrow at 11 a.m. So tomorrow at 11 a.m., get those beats in, and I will see y'all either in person or online tomorrow night. See ya.
I talk to the computers, David is my shepherd. I could be a lamb, but I'd rather be a leopard. See us on the go, like we playing CSGO, even playing field. This could be a battlefield. Halo with the vision, Call of Duty if we win it on a Fortnite. Forza motor needed coding, AI with aggressive loading. GLaDOS like we Portals too, Gordon Freeman keep away. The pixel up on 2K in a resolution 4K going 60 frames a minute. Falling out with Minutemen, oblivion. When they see the league I'm in, I'm crafting up a Warcraft. Had to make a warpath like zombies in a mine shaft. I'll never get that time back. Had to get it out the stopwatch. I'm running up like Usain, rattling in my brain. They told me that I'm not sane. I told them check the membrane, and then I had a good game. I'm winning up like Luke Kane.